Yes, yes, yes. Cameron Holmes is committed to the University of Arizona, but is that all recruiting news that we have? No, we have more on Cameron Williams' updated recruitment, as well as a whole lot more on today's AZ Wildcats podcast. Leave a like, stick around.
Welcome on in, everybody, to the AZ Wildcats podcast, coming to you live from Studio K, presented by our friends over at Circle K. I am Damon Fairall. He is Kevin Thomas. We are the AZ Wildcats pod, coming to you live from PHNX HQ3 in beautiful, lovely downtown Phoenix. Could the weather be any better, Kevin? Rolling out of bed with a smile on my face, in part because of the weather, and in part because Cameron Holmes is an Arizona Wildcat. Of course, Kevin and I went live yesterday, did an emergency podcast directly after Cameron Holmes committed to Arizona. Cam Holmes, from Millennium High School, the brother of Deron Holmes, who a lot of Arizona fans might be familiar with from Arizona's tournament game against Dayton a couple years ago in the round of 32. But Cam Holmes, big-time prospect, commits to Arizona. How does that impact the future of Arizona basketball recruiting? We're going to get into it all day long on this show and bring you some Big 12 football power rankings, to which, do I even need to update anything? Because I feel like I'm just hitting the nail on the head all season long, Kevin, over here. And I want some apologies from some BYU fans in the process. But before we get started, how was your weekend, my guy? How are you living? And how are we feeling about this show on a fine Monday afternoon?
You know, I was up last night at 1 a.m. hanging art in my home, hanging some posters, and I was thinking to myself, man, what a great weekend it is to be an Arizona Wildcat. Women's basketball is rolling with Becky Burke. Arizona men's basketball is rolling with Koa Peat and Tommy Lloyd. The football boys are going bowling. Brent Brennan has his saddle shoes on, and they're swaggy as hell. It was a great weekend, Damon. It really, really was. It was a fun weekend to be an Arizona Wildcat, and I look forward to the next, what do we got, another month and a half of a ton of sports pretty much being in the equinox for Arizona right now. Great weekend. Thank you to everybody in the chat for being here today. We appreciate you for tapping in with us. Like Damon said, we do have a loaded show, and we're also going to be previewing that NAU matchup because Arizona men's basketball does have a game tomorrow night, so we will not be live at 2 p.m. tomorrow. We will be live post-game for NAU versus Arizona. Looking forward to our pre-game watch-along, post-game extravaganza for the UCLA game as well. So, yeah, it's a packed week, packed show. Happy to be here.
Happy to be here, and it is certainly a jam-packed week where we're going to be bringing you Arizona basketball and football coverage all week long. But before we get started, let's talk about our presenting sponsor of Branded Bills. You guys see I have these brand new canvas Branded Bill lid on my head right here. I can't wait to get a custom PHNX one done, Kevin, because Branded Bills is the premium headwear and apparel in the game. Head to brandedbills.com, use promo code BBPHNX, and get 15% off your first order. Pick yourself up some sweet new lids like the ones that I rock every single day on this show. We love our friends over at Branded Bills. But, as much as we love Branded Bills, one of the only things that we love more, Kevin, is Arizona Wildcats basketball, right? And let's get into what we, saw from the Wildcats over the last week. And, just kind of where we go from here, because it feels as though Arizona, while still having it's a weird place when players start committing this early in the season. Arizona, maybe this is like the biggest news of the day, jumps into the top 5 of the most recent AP poll. The Cats are number 5 overall after beating Florida, after beating Utah Tech, which didn't really have much of an impact, I would imagine, on the entire rankings process. But Arizona is a top 5 basketball team right now in the country as far as all things are considered. And there's they have a great roster on their hands with a lot of moving parts, a lot of pieces that, potentially couldn't be on the team next year, for example. And so Tommy Lloyd and his staff are going to have to put together, in large part, a brand new roster, Kevin. And some groundwork was done in the process of that this weekend as Cameron Holmes becomes Arizona's first commit.
It was a big commitment for Arizona in the sense that Cameron Holmes is a player that can fit into any kind of style, any kind of roster that you're going to be putting together. And I wanted to ask you a little bit later in the show, but I will go ahead and kick off our Cameron Holmes conversation with this, Damon. It feels like a player that other high-level recruits are going to want to play with. This is a guy with, NBA pedigree. His brother is in the league. He has good resources. He's playing under Tommy Lloyd, and he also loves playing on high-level teams, other high-level players. It feels like this is a guy that could be, kind of like what's a good comp for this kind of a guy, Damon? But maybe you're better at that than I am. But anyway, he's a player that other high-level recruits are going to look at and say, I can see myself fitting in next to Cameron Holmes.
Noah Fafita
in that sense as well. But yeah, I think this is a massive recruitment for Tommy Lloyd in Arizona. It's not necessarily a recruitment that's going to, I'll say, scare off any high-level players. It feels like this is one that could, if anything, welcome more high-level players into the Arizona Wildcats roster for next year. You mentioned Arizona basketball having themselves a great week, Damon. The loudest part of that was Koa Peat. We can get back into Cameron Holmes here in a second, but I think we do need to mention Koa Peat. Not only did he lead Arizona back into the top 5 of the AP, but he also became the Big 12 Player of the Week, the Big 12 Newcomer of the Week, and he was listed in the Big 12's weekly Best Starting 5. It's nice to see Koa Peat in Arizona finally getting the plaudits that they deserve, they have worked so hard for, and Koa Peat putting the nation on notice that he is not only one of the best freshmen in America, he's one of the best players in the country, and I'm very happy to see that as well. Were you at all surprised by Koa Peat taking home so many awards, or are you like me and you're just kind of happy to see them get their plaudits?
Yeah, I mean, I think Koa Peat he's taken the world by storm. When it comes to college basketball, I don't know if there's a single player that has been a bigger story than Koa Peat this season in the college basketball world. And, people have their preconceived notions about AJ DeBansta, Darren Peterson, like those guys, come with the pageantry of getting a ton of attention, right? But Koa Peat was a little bit more of an unknown. Everyone was tuned into that game because it was Florida versus Arizona, not because of Koa Peat, like maybe in some of these other games where there are people that are tuning in specifically to watch a Darren Peterson play basketball. And then Koa Peat is just so undeniable that now people are like, they can't help but talk about him, right? He's become the national storyline. I find it very apt that he received the Big 12 Player of the Week, co-player of the week with Christian Anderson, and then Freshman of the Week, Newcomer of the Week, whatever you call it. That was a given, right? That one isn't even. It's not even that big of a deal. It is what it is. But I was a little surprised to not see Jaden Bradley on that list, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I know he didn't have the greatest game against Utah Tech. He didn't need to. He played 21 minutes. Excuse me. Kevin, he still shot 4 of 6 from the field and gave you 6 assists and 3 steals in that game. Jaden Bradley, he just continues to be steady, even in, games where he's not necessarily like putting up 27 like he did against Florida. But yeah, I mean, I want to see Jaden Bradley start to get some respect. Yes. I feel like Koa Peat, after one game, has already put himself in a spot where now the national media will be locked in on what Koa Peat does every single game. If Koa Peat has a good game, he will get his plaudits for it. Jaden Bradley's still in a spot where it feels like no matter what he does, no one cares. And I'm kind of sick of that.
Jaden Bradley deserves some damn respect. We've been talking about it all offseason. We're going to continue to talk about it throughout the course of this season, Damon. This is a game, or not a game, this is a player in Jaden Bradley who has not gotten enough respect from last season, the Clemson game, staying at Arizona, being the leader of this team that has Final Four aspirations, being a huge reason as to why they have Final Four aspirations. Jaden Bradley does deserve some respect. I think he will get it, and probably towards the end of this season, I think, because obviously, as sad as it is, once your college career is over, people start to look back on it and think about what you actually accomplished. They're not too caught up in the moment. I think Jaden Bradley's going to be one of those players that his game and his accomplishments are going to age really well here at the University of Arizona. But you mentioned Koa Peat kind of being the national story. I think it's huge for Arizona. We talk about Arizona being underrated nationally by the national media. The best way to get rated accurately is have a player on your team that they love. Have a player on your team that they love to talk about, that they want to be good, and Koa Peat is that guy for Arizona basketball. The same way that, the Boozer twins are that way for Duke this year. Darren Peterson is that way for Kansas. Neoclis Abdalis for Virginia, like there are players that if you are a national media member and you don't know much about Ivan Karchenkov or, even Braden Burries to an extent, you know who Koa Peat is because of this game against Florida. So I think it's huge that Koa Peat had this kind of a week, not only for, his own aspirations and such, but also for getting Arizona some damn respect. It was huge that the statement was made in the way that it was.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think Koa Peat also has, he benefits from the place of his name is Koa Peat. It's 7 letters.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to say and remember. And so I feel like when you have one big game like that, now everybody's like, oh, I know Koa Peat. Like, who else? It's also a very unique name as well. Like, I think all of it kind of goes hand in hand. But Koa Peat is a bona fide superstar. Yes. He's being talked about on every single show that I'm tuning into that involves college basketball. There's days after the fact, they're still showing all of his Florida highlights. Like, this guy is an absolute superstar in the making. He is my guy, just so we're very clear on that. But I do think that Jaden Bradley deserves more respect in particular. As Sam says, though, maybe not giving Jaden Bradley the proper plaudits is what we need as a team to keep that chip on Jaden Bradley's shoulder and kind of keep the main thing, because I do think that this team will feed off of Jaden Bradley and his energy all season long, because he is the de facto leader of this team. He wants that role. He wants to be the leader of the squad. And if he's going to have that chip on his shoulder, that'll trickle down to everybody. Even if Koa Peat is being talked about as the man, I don't think Koa Peat is the type of guy where he's going to be start kicking his feet up and being like, you know what, I am the damn man. I am him, right?
Not your guy.
That's not who Koa Peat is as a person and as a athlete in particular. Like, that dude wants to win. And if Jaden Bradley is going to, kind of keep this PO'd mentality into every game of no one respects us, not just me, but us, I think that could go a long way for Arizona.
Oh, it definitely could. And I think also this is a team that I think when you're looking at opponents and you look at them as a very good team, you kind of herald them. You wouldn't necessarily want them to be like, we're the underdogs, right? It's like how when you watch the Dodgers, Damon, and you hear them talking about they not like us and all this nonsense of trying to manufacture an underdog perspective for their respective locker room. It feels like Arizona should feel like they're the underdogs, right? It feels like Arizona, as talented as they are, as well-respected as Tommy Lloyd is, they should feel disrespected. They should feel like they're kind of being slept on, right? Because the talent of this roster is not that of a preseason, outside the top 10 team. It is that of a top 10 the entire year kind of a roster. So, yeah, I'm with you on that. I think the chip on the shoulder is there. I think even if they get the plaudits, even if they get the accolades throughout the year, the main thing is the main thing. I think one thing you and I both took away from Media Day, talking to these players and getting, kind of vibe for where their head is at going into the year, they're all focused on winning being, obviously the main goal, but they're focused on developing as individuals, doing their part on the team, and the results will follow. And so I think even if they get the plaudits, even if they get the accolades, the focus will remain there, and the chip, most importantly, will remain on their shoulder because they have not forgotten. Jaden Bradley, no matter how many, awards you want to put him on, awards list you want to put him on throughout the year, he's not going to forget the offseason. He's not going to forget not even being mentioned in some of the best point guard conversations, and guys like Xavier Lee being heralded as one of the best point guards in the country, and Jaden Bradley not even getting a mention, right? So they won't forget that anytime soon. So even if they get their plaudits, I'm not really worried about them becoming too full of themselves anyway. But, Damon, we do have a lot more basketball to talk. I want to dive into the nitty-gritty of Cameron Holmes and how that could actually impact the incoming, looming commitment of one Cameron Williams. We're caught on Cams. We're caught up on the Camerons and the Cams. We're going to try to corner the market on Camerons the same way the Diamondbacks cornered the markets on Corbins, and hopefully it goes a little bit better for us. But we're going to talk about that and a whole lot more on the other side of this break here on the AZ Wildcats podcast. Leave a like, drink your water, don't go anywhere. I mean, unless you're heading to our friends over at Circle K, because Damon, Circle K is America's thirst stop. This is a fact, and if I lie to you, I will be walking home because I am on E right now in my car. And who am I going to rely on to get me home safely? Circle K. Because what am I going to do after work? Stop by my latest Circle K, which is not but a stone's throw away. They're always right there for you. And I might even stop in and get some deals on snacks. I might even stop into the beer cave because they got deals on everything because I am a member of the Circle K Inner Circle. And if you want to get like me, like Damon, like Erica Day as well, join that Inner Circle for free today by downloading the Circle K app. You can do it right there at the pump. If you're at a gas station right now, you could fill up by the time I'm done reading this ad read and also be a part of the Inner Circle because it's that easy. Terms and conditions may apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. And if you do join that Inner Circle, you get 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, 3 cents off per gallon on every single fill-up after that until you graduate into that 5 cents off per gallon tier like me and Damon. So tap in with Circle K and download the app right now.
Love our friends at Circle K. Goes hand in hand with this next sponsor, which is a new sponsor of ours, and we're excited to bring them back into the fold, actually. Arizona Lottery. Guys, at every Circle K, there's an Arizona Lottery kiosk that you can go find what scratcher works best for you. What maybe you're into the bigger prizes, right? You want to get in on the actual lottery itself. You can do that as well at one of those Circle K kiosks or anywhere that they sell Arizona Lottery scratchers. Because guys, 'tis the season for over $80 million in prizes. Let me say that one more time, Kevin. 80 stinking million they're giving out this holiday season. Arizona Lottery is, and you guys are going to want to get in on that action. Play the holiday tickets from the Arizona Lottery for your best chance. For the chance to fill your stocking with cash. There's not a stocking stuffer like a scratcher in the world. Genuinely, so much fun. Every single time I grab one of those coins and I start scratching, start trying to read my little ticket and being like, going back to the key. Like it really is nothing like that. Even when you lose, you still have a great time in the process doing so. But there's so much winning to be had out there. So guys, head on over to an Arizona Lottery kiosk. Go ahead and get yourself some holiday scratchers. When it comes to holiday gifts, there's nothing like it in the game. Love to play and spread the holiday cheer with holiday scratchers from Arizona Lottery. Play and gift today.
I love the idea of gifting a scratch off because that could be the greatest gift ever given.
Oh my God.
If that person wins.
Do you, let me ask this. Do you have some sort of like legal claim if you bought it and handed it to somebody as a prize? Like could you be like in a court of law? Could you be like, I am owed a percentage of that?
They say possession is like 9/10 of the law. So I think we're really relying on that 1/10.
So maybe you get 1/10 of the prize.
Maybe. Who
maybe
knows?
Maybe that's what that law has been indicating the entire time is if you gamble, you got to give 1/10 to the guy who gave you the tip on the gambling side of things.
I feel like, Damon, in reality, if I give my friend a lottery scratch off and it's for the big prize, not for like just to win, $100, which is a fair amount of money in today's economy. I would be very happy if anyone gave me $100, but I'm not necessarily going to try to like cut myself in on my gift of $100 to them. But if they win that lottery, I will say this is the important thing. Before giving it to them, you got to have a conversation, almost like a joke. You got to couch it like a joke. Yeah. And be like, hey, when you get that $500 million, cut me in on some.
Come on, you don't forget your boy. Don't forget your boy. Don't you remember where you came from? That type of stuff.
No, totally.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what.
When it does hit, you go like,
"Hey, you want to cut me in there? Want to break some bread?"
Believe we had a conversation earlier.
Totally, 1000%. Speaking of not forgetting where you come from, Cameron Williams, Phoenix. 5-star, number 4 overall in his class, number 1 power forward, 6'11". Damon's trying to point down to the topic bar that says Arizona securing Cameron Williams.
I was trying to point at the like this video, but it was a big struggle over here.
This video. I'll give you another chance. But like I said, Arizona has the chance. I will say there's a chance that Arizona could secure Cameron Williams. At this current iteration in time, it looks like he is destined for Durham, North Carolina, and he will be joining Duke for next season, which, as Damon is doing, is a gag-worthy decision. However, with the commitment of Cameron Holmes, with the close ties of local Arizona Hoopers, you must believe that Arizona is at least second in that top 3, the 3 being Duke, Arizona, and Texas. It feels like Texas is not even being mentioned as a rumor for Cameron Williams at this point in time. I had a Texas fan in my replies trying to act as if they were going to swoop in and take Cameron Williams, and I'm just like, big dog, this is an A and B conversation. I would appreciate it if you see your way out of it. It has nothing to do with you. It's top 3, and you are number 3 by far. And now if he goes to Texas, I'll have egg on my face happily. But like I'm saying,
horns down, baby.
For sure. It feels like he's going to Duke, but the chance that he goes to Arizona is not zero. He posted Cameron Holmes' commitment graphic yesterday. It feels like he's all about that. Now, you might say that they might just be friends and he's just being supportive. I know Junior County is another player that Arizona was in on. He is now committed to UConn. But he posts every local commitment, it feels like. Every player he's ever played with, because I followed him on Instagram when Arizona was doing it, he posts like every Wisconsin hooper that commits pretty much. So this could be nothing. It could be absolutely nothing. But I do think it's worth mentioning that he does have ties to local players. He does have ties to a player on Arizona's commitment list for next class, for Cameron Williams' class of 2026. So it doesn't feel impossible that Tommy Lloyd, in the dying hours between now and Friday at 12:45, that it doesn't feel impossible that he could swoop in and take Cameron Holmes away from Duke and John Shire, even though that would be a pretty tall ask, considering, you're boxing with Duke and the money that Duke has and the craziness of the Cameron Crazies and all that. So where are you at on Cameron Williams right now?
Cameron Crazies? kind of hate that combo, but yeah, I mean, I definitely think that this is the prize recruit for Arizona in this class, and I think Arizona would tell you as such. Feels like Duke has built some momentum here, but I don't think Arizona is completely out of it. I know his commitment date has been set now. What is it, for Friday?
Yeah, Friday at 12:45 Mountain Standard, 2:45 Eastern.
Seems as though typically when players set a date like that, it's because they have an idea of where they're going to end up, right?
Yes.
And so maybe this is a situation where Cameron Williams he's decided. He knows where he's going, and Arizona's already out of it, right? But I definitely just think that when you look at the history of these blue chip high level recruits here in the great state of Arizona, it ends up where a lot of these guys, they just can't shake home. They have to stay home. They have to represent their university, and because of that, I think Tommy Lloyd and Arizona do have a shot here at Cameron Williams, as his recruiting process winds down. But it is always tough whenever you see that Duke logo next to a guy, and they're going hard, making this player an absolute priority in their recruiting class. Very hard to say no to Duke. Very, very hard to say no to Duke. We don't have inside information on this one. It seems like Cameron Williams is maybe leaning Duke right now, but I wouldn't count Tommy Lloyd and Arizona out of it the way that we have already counted Texas and Sean Miller out of this one. But we do have some quotes here from Cameron Williams in regards to his recruiting process. Should we start with Texas?
Let's go ahead and start with Texas.
So let's start with Texas because, we don't need to talk about them too much longer. Cameron Williams on Texas said they got a new coaching staff with Sean Miller, and he's really cool. He's told me that I'm his number one priority, so that means a lot. And just going over his system, how he plays, and all this stuff, I think I can see myself. By fitting in there. He's had guys like Lauri Markkanen and Aaron Gordon. Well, that's true.
Not at Texas, though.
But we've also had guys like Lauri Markkanen and Aaron Gordon, so I don't know if that's the greatest recruiting pitch in the entire world.
Yeah.
But I do think that, Sean Miller's had some pretty damn good force in his time, coaching college basketball. Anything you take away from that quote?
That the word cool is back. It's no longer lit. It's cool. Cool is okay to say again. But I think that, like we said, Texas feels like they're third. You never want to count Sean Miller out. That's kind of like his move to swoop in the last hour and steal a guy away from another coach. But like you said earlier, when you have a designated time slot, it's a round time slot, probably right after an ad break on CBS, which is where he's going to commit. It feels like it's kind of orchestrated. They probably have the graphics already made, just ready to play them. And yeah, it's likely that it's probably Arizona or Duke. Now, when you ask Cameron Williams, what do you think about Texas? And he's saying he's bringing up old players. And by old players, I don't mean like old back in the day. I mean old from Sean Miller's last program. Not last, but one of his last programs that he was at in Arizona. And we know this sport is a what have you done for me lately kind of sport. It's kind of hard to be, not have much to hang your hat on right now if you're Sean Miller in terms of like guys that you've gotten to the league recently, I feel like. And so that's not really helping out Sean Miller in Texas at all in this one. But we do have Cameron Williams talking about Duke. Damon. And so this is Cameron Williams on his Duke visit. He says, I like their system probably the most because they play an NBA style of offense. They're 5 out, and everybody's guarding through 1 through 5. It's positionless basketball. All the coaches there were cool. Cool is back. I was there for their countdown to craziness, and he adds that it was just as crazy as it seems. And it seems like, based on his quote that he gave to On3 right there, that he really enjoyed his visit to Duke. It feels like he really saw that it was as advertised to be in that environment. He said the gym felt a lot more intimate than it does on TV because obviously, they say TV and camera adds 10 pounds. I guess it adds about 10,000 in capacity as well because he mentioned like just how small and intimate the gym was. So it feels like he really loves the environment in Durham. Now, before we continue this conversation, I do want to get his quote about Arizona as well. Here's what he said about his recruitment to Arizona. Things are real good with them. I talk to Tommy Lloyd like every other day and Coach TJ Benson basically every day. Real cool guys. But they really stand out to me because it's like an hour and a half away from me, and I see that they're making Arizona kids a priority for sure. And when asked about what type of player or usage he expects at Arizona, he said, they see me as a kind of like a Carter Bryant or Henry Vasar type. Kind of like how Koa Peat came in. He had such a high impact. He's going to be like their best player this year. So that's what they see for me. Damon, did anything about those quotes in regards to Arizona in particular stick out to you?
I mean, I know that we've already discussed the aspect of Cameron Williams posting Cameron Holmes' commitment graphic on his social media, and that, these, I think, people that are from, a state like Arizona where the sports culture is growing. It's not like it's already built. It's not like it's, Texas or California high school football, right? Where there's millions of kids almost that you have to keep track of. This feels like, definitely could be an aspect of just showing some love to your guys, but also bringing up, I think that Koa Peat, like his impact on Arizona and him looking like that on night 1 against Florida is very impactful.
Loud proof of concept.
100%. Like, hey, Cameron Williams, this is the other top 10 Arizona 5-star that we got who plays your same position. Look at him.
You've probably played either with or against him at the AAU level. You're familiar with his capabilities. Could this be you?
Watch him dominate the rest of the country this year. Watch him pick up accolade after accolade in the first week. Watch him go be a top 10 pick or lottery pick in the NBA draft. That kind of stuff, I think, is incredibly impactful for these people that are interconnected, that know each other in a tight-knit circle like the Arizona high school basketball ranks, right? And so I do think that that's a type of thing, like the Koa Peat aspect of it is definitely the type of thing where, maybe it does help Arizona in this recruitment. Maybe it does, maybe he was locked a little bit more on Duke, and then he watched that Florida game and he was sitting there and he was like, I would look pretty damn good in that uniform. I would look pretty damn good if Tommy Lloyd was drawing up some plays for me to spot up. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that kind of thing is very, very important. And as you said, very powerful proof of concept.
Yeah, and I also think when we're talking about, obviously proof of concept, I think we'd be remiss to mention, like, Boozer is also balling out. In games where he's not playing perfect and it's obvious, he's still looking very strong. So I think if we were Duke fans, God forbid, we would also be on this podcast saying, like, see, if you're Cameron Williams, you're watching the Boozer twins, like, okay, I see what Shire's doing with him. I kind of like that as well. But it does feel like Arizona has immense proof of concept.
Cameron Boozer, 0 points in the first half versus Texas, bro.
Yeah, but the second half was a lot different. But, I will say, like, him mentioning that they talk to him every day, that he knows they make Arizona guys a priority, I feel like cannot get lost in all of this. We talked about, what Tommy Lloyd is special at as a recruiter. And I was talking to Mike Luke about this very recently, about how what makes Tommy Lloyd special as a recruiter is not his like flash. He's not going to fly in on some helicopter. You know what I mean? But he will call you every day. He will check up on you as a man. He will ask you how you are doing as a person. And I think that matters to a lot of kids, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it matters to a lot of parents as well. So where I think I'm at with this recruitment of Cameron Williams is just how much backlogged goodwill does Tommy Lloyd and TJ Benson and Murph and the boys have with Cameron Williams compared to what John Shire and Duke does. Because I think that matters. When the margins are so close, when he's going to be making a lot of money either way, you got to start thinking about where are the relationships stronger. And if John Shire hasn't been calling him every day, I'm sure that he has. I'm not saying he hasn't. But if Tommy Lloyd, if that is the difference, right, it just could be. Because that is what makes him special, is his actual genuine interest in the recruit as a person and what they want to do, their developmental plan. And honestly, it feels like Tommy Lloyd is just straight up honest with guys. And I think that really matters in all this as well. Like I said, I think him mentioning the close relationship that he's had with the Arizona staff does matter. It could come down to that. But yeah, do we have anything else? Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about in regards to this. I'll ask you this question. Do you think that the result of the Cameron Holmes recruitment matters at all in any of this? Like, do you think that Cameron Williams has had his heart set for maybe, let's say, a week or two now, right? And that this is just, it doesn't really matter. Or maybe he knew because they're friends that Cameron Holmes is already going to go to Arizona when he made that decision, and maybe he's going to go to Duke, and that's just what it is. Do you think that the Cameron Holmes commitment plays at all into the Cameron Williams commitment?
Yeah, it's an interesting discussion. I do think so. In regards to Cameron Holmes, we detailed this all on our emergency pod yesterday, and as well as breaking down Cameron Holmes' game and how he fits with Arizona. So go check that out if you're looking for a little bit of extra Cameron Holmes coverage here. But I do think that it almost seemed like a foregone conclusion that Cam Holmes was going to wind up at Arizona. Dating back to when I was at Section 7, Kevin, I talked to some people in and around the Arizona basketball program out there at Section 7, and they made it seem to me that it was, pretty damn likely that TJ Benson had done a great job in regards to the recruitment of Cam Holmes, and that it was feeling like he was probably a Wildcat, right? Then we started hearing right before his commitment that his dad was pushing him towards Dayton and being like, hey, maybe follow in Duran's footsteps and see if, that's the best route for you. But Cam ultimately decided that, he wanted to come play at Arizona. I think Cameron Williams has known for a while that Cam Holmes is going to be an Arizona Wildcat.
Yeah.
And so I would say that from a general sense, yes, it is helpful, because I think that Cameron Williams would want to play with Cameron Holmes. Like those two guys, they seem tight. I don't see, they play different positions. I don't see why that would hurt in any way. It seems like it would only be a positive to be like, hey, come play with this other really good player who you already know. I also don't know if it actually did have any impact, because I feel like I said, Cameron Williams, like us, has known that Cam Holmes was likely a Wildcat for a long time. So if that was going to impact his decision-making, it probably would have done so months ago rather than 5 days after he actually makes his commitment official. So I don't know if maybe spelling that out, now I feel a little bit worse about the Cameron Williams decision and maybe the odds that he picks Arizona. But yeah, I don't think that it necessarily will have he's not going to be sitting there going, oh, well, Holmes went to U of A?
Well,
cool.
That changes everything.
Yeah, now, I guess I will now too. But I do think that there's a chance that he's like, oh, Holmes is going to U of A? That's sick. Maybe I will too. We would look good playing together.
Yeah, I think it's a possibility, but I think the truth is kind of like what you laid out there. That both these decisions have been made long in the future with room for change, but the idea was there the whole time. And I think when we're talking about does this impact the Cameron Williams commitment, maybe if there was, I think if it was the inverse, I think it would impact it, right? I think if you don't get Cameron Williams or Cameron Holmes, I think maybe Cameron Williams looks at it. Maybe he looks at it and says, okay, more usage for me. I'll for sure go to Arizona. But maybe he looks at it like, the only chance I went there is if my boy Cameron Holmes also went there, and now I'm just going to pack my stuff and go to Duke for sure, right? So maybe if Cameron Holmes' dad was able to convince him to go to Dayton, it's a lost cause, or maybe he ends up at Arizona anyway. But I think you're right. I think that these decisions have probably been made for so long in the future, and it's probably been well communicated out beforehand, that I don't think it plays too much of an impact, in all honesty. We did get an interesting question here from our guy Jervis Williams in the chat. Maybe related to Cam Williams. Who knows? No, I'm kidding. I have a silly question. Do the coaches find out when everybody else finds out who the player is committing to, or do they generally already have an idea? And I think it kind of depends, and Damon might correct me if I'm wrong, it kind of depends on the relationship the player has with the coaches, how close it is, how much respect they have for the staff, and kind of honestly just their personality, right? I think there are some players who they want to make sure they're respectful to everybody that's offered them attention and investment during this time, and they might reach out with a phone call a week before and say, hey, coach, I'm going to so-and-so school. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your interest, but this is what's best for me. Respectfully, end of phone call. That's that. You might have some players that it gets back to the team through an agent. You might have some players that they just never tell the team at all, and it's a complete surprise. The team might have an idea, like 90%, but you don't know for sure. I think those are probably the three most common ways in which this information gets disseminated. I would assume the relationships in which Tommy Lloyd, as Jervis says, oh, he's a third cousin. I texted Cam to get on with it, or he's not invited to Thanksgiving. That's a real one.
We have people in this chat out here who want to do everything it takes to make the Arizona Wildcats the elite program that we all know that they are. But I agree with you in the sense, Kevin, that it is very dependent, I think, on the athlete in particular. There are certain players that are just way more private, right? They keep everything on their chest. They're not really telling anybody outside of their family what their plan is in regards to what they're doing. I would say that is a minority of players, though. That is not often that's the case. I think most of the time the coaching staff has a very, very good idea of what to expect. I think there's probably a good chance that Arizona knows what the deal is with Cam Williams right now. Like either that, we're it's pretty up in the air still, or we got some ground to make up, or might as well just stop calling him because he's already decided that he's a Blue Devil, right? But I do think that there's like the coaching staff has a general knowledge base of where they're at with specific recruits. And so most of the time, I would say like a good 95% of the time, I would imagine that they're very, very locked in on what's about to go down in terms of the commitment, the official commitment. Because I think a lot of the time they've called their coaches before and said, either I'm out or I'm committing to U of A. And so, that's like there's a communication line that we're not really aware of. Like I said, I think there's a very small minority of players that are like, oh, no one's going to know anything about me until I actually go out there and commit. And yeah, that's the process with this one. I think like a guy like T-Mac was a little bit like that, where it was somewhat up in the air on National Signing Day of like, by the way, Kevin, you want to talk about
like it used to
an
be.
Absolute baller, the game we love, T-Mac committing on National Signing Day. Like it should be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was somewhat up in the air. Like, is he going to stick it out and go to Oregon when Cristobal's not there? Just because, he's locked in on that coaching staff and he's really good, has a great relationship with that wide receivers coach out of Oregon? Or does he want to come play with, Noah Fafita and all his friends out of Arizona? We didn't really know until like the last minute. And so that one was like an interesting case, but in large part, yeah, I definitely think it's case dependent, but most of the time the coaching staff is very aware.
I'm not speaking from a place of, hard knowledge and a lot of research on this specific topic that I'm about to breach, but I will assume that in the modern era of NIL and rev share deals and all these advertising sponsors related to these schools that have agents that can help you expand your brand, I'm sure you're signing a contract or at least giving them heads up that you're going to commit far in advance nowadays.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of like financial paperwork that needs to get done. I don't think it's nearly as simple as it used to be where you just sign your letter of intent on the day and then boom, you're an Arizona Wildcat. It feels like there's a couple more steps in that process nowadays that I think probably cuts down on the mystery of signing day and who's going to go where.
What do you think Koa Peat told Bobby Hurley, according to the conversation in the chat here?
Hey, Koa, this is Coach Bobby Hurley. Hell no. Who? Wait, okay, my bad. I thought this was Danny. I just wanted to, make sure it was Bobby before I hang up the phone. Click. And I think that's kind of.
But we got Kiona on the team.
Not for long, brother. I spoke to him at dinner. Click. No, I do think that Koa Peat, very respectful dude. Probably. I mean, you and I talked about it in the lead up to his commitment. I thought the only reason he had ASU in his top 3 or whatever it was near the end, out of respect. That's the home city team. Didn't want to diss him too hard. But that's kind of where I was at with it. I think he was very respectful, but also like, I'm not going there.
It seemed like to me he gave them a little bit of a chance. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong in saying that, but I think he wanted ASU to present like a decent offer to him, and he realized like this is just not the place for me to be successful in the basketball ranks of things. I bet you that Jaden Quaintance and Joson Sannon, the way that those seasons went last year, had a big impact on Koa Peat in terms of like, ooh, yeah, I cannot go to that university. They will ruin my career. As Quaintance is now at Kentucky and projected in the lottery, and Sannon is at St. John's playing some pretty good basketball right now. So,
and I will add, Damon, that it was probably like a first date that just you're 5 minutes into the date and you know it's not going to go well. Like, you just know this is not going to be a second date kind of a situation. But what are you going to do? Get up and leave the dinner? No. You sit there, you make small talk, you cut your steak really fast and you eat it, and then you go home and you say, hey, I don't think this was really working out. I don't think we're going to do a second date. That's kind of probably how the Koa Peat recruitment went, where he's there through the recruitment, but the whole time he's kind of like watching Quayton's, watching Sandon, like, I don't really see a future with this person. I can't see myself having basketball babies with Bobby Hurley. No way.
Bobby's like, we're going to get both these guys back next year. I promise, Koa.
But why are they coming back? They're good enough. They should be gone. That's what I'm thinking if I'm Koa Peat.
Yeah.
But I did want to ask you.
Koa Peat can dribble a bowling ball. He probably could.
He probably could. Maybe you can borrow Brent Brennan's shoes while he's at it to keep him safe. But I did want to ask you couple things about Cameron Holmes in particular, the certain Arizona Wildcat. Some people in our comments, also on social media, that are getting more familiar with his game are noticing that he talks a lot, Damon. And this is kind of a conversation that I wanted to have with you. Do you like Holmes' attitude? And I'm not trying to speak about him as a person, but as a player. Do you like guys that are not afraid to talk a little bit of smack? Do you like guys that are unafraid to let an opponent know when they're too small? Are you into that, or are you anti? Because Cam Holmes is certainly a player that talks a lot when you're watching his tape.
I'm very much into that when it's on my team and when we're winning basketball games. Like, more than almost anything. I love a dude pimping a home run. I love a dude giving you one of these. Like, that is, I think, what sports is all about. And when it happens against you, it's infuriating. But again, that's how you create enemies. That's how Eddie Lampkin becomes one of my least favorite athletes that's ever lived, as Christian Coloco is literally going down the court and just scoring on him at will. And then Eddie Lampkin is, like 6 for 10 shooting, and he's hitting like a 2-pointer, like, turnaround hook shot, and acting like he just won the NBA finals, like running back down the court, blah, losing his mind. It's like, that's what sports is all about. So I'm for it. I like it. Just don't embarrass me in the process. Don't do something that's going to like turn around and bite Arizona fans in the ass. Cause if something embarrassing happens, people will let me know about it. I'm pretty sure I'm like their first thought a lot of the time when things happen with U of A. They're like, I gotta go tell Damon Dog about this one. I gotta go rib Damon in his comments. And you're like, all right, man. But yeah, I think I like it. I like it from Cam Holmes. He definitely is a little bit of a talker, but he might have to tone it down a little bit.
I think I'm with you on the idea you might have to turn it down just a teensy-weensy bit, because you're not going to be playing against, Arizona public high school kids or AAU kids at this level in the Big 12. You're going to be playing against tough dudes, real tough dudes, legitimate tough dudes. But I think you kind of need that in a young recruit. I think a lot of the times you can't have a whole team of it.
Yeah.
You can't have a whole team of guys trying to fight the other team. I'm not saying Cameron Holmes is doing that. But what I am saying is you can't have a team of guys just screaming and yelling the whole game. Think of like the Memphis Grizzlies a couple years ago when they were making that run and they were just too young, too naive to know any better.
Kevin.
You know what I mean? But that team had a little bit, arguably, too much attitude, right? They had too much attitude for their own good. But I do think having a player like Cameron Holmes can really help you. Relax.
No one in the West.
Relax over there.
No one in the West.
You relax over there. But I do think
all these Grizzlies things, I can't get enough of it. It's so funny, dude.
It is. All the Suns fans that hated Dylan Brooks' guts a couple years ago now are like, this guy's awesome. Hey, turn up. But anyway, I will say this. I think you need a little bit of that on this team, especially a team next year that's going to be retooling. It's going to look a lot different. You're going to need some fire. And I'll add this. You also need that level of confidence. He's not talking just because he's out there playing basketball. He's talking because he thinks he's better than you, because he knows he's better than you, right? And so I think having that level of confidence, having a guy who's going to want to take that shot at the end of the game, have the ball in his hands, let the crowd, let his opponents know about it, I think that's big. And is it a little bit not your favorite thing to see on tape sometimes? Does it look like it's in bad taste sometimes? Sure. But I think he's just not quite on your team yet. And once he gets down in Tucson, people are going to love Cameron Holmes, I think, attitude or not.
I'm with you, Kevin. We're going to talk a little bit more about Arizona's matchup tomorrow against NAU, and then we're going to round out this show with some updated Big 12 power rankings, to which do we even have to do much updating? We'll do all that and more right after the break here on the AZ Wildcats pod.
And if you have been dunked on by Koa Peat and experienced a serious injury as a result, you should call the husband and wife law team at 602-783-8841. I'll say that one more time. 602-783-8841. If you call this number after being affected by an accident or serious injury, you are calling the kings and queens of serious injury and wrongful death litigation in this freedom state of Arizona. Dare I say west of the Mississippi. And you're wondering, what makes them experts? Like, genuinely, what makes them more expert at this than other lawyers in the state? That is because of this fact. In Arizona, the state bar has certified less than 1% of all lawyers. I'll repeat it. Less than 1% of all lawyers in the state of Arizona have been certified specifically in injury and wrongful death litigation. Guess who's a part of that 1%?
I'm guessing Mark and Alexis Breyer.
Boom! The husband and wife law team. They actually go to trial as well. They are experienced trial lawyers. If a case needs to go to trial, they are ready for that. They know their way around a courtroom better than Seth Dagey knows his way around a quarterback's room and what needs to be done to prevail in front of a jury of their peers. The practice is 100% dedicated to injury and wrongful death. Experienced and specialized and equipped with the expertise to handle every aspect of your case. So if you have had a serious injury, call the husband and wife law team at 602-783-8841 or visit their website at husbandandwifelawteam.com.
It certainly is the only choice, Kevin, in regards to an injury. And guys, if you're looking for a place to staycation, maybe just have a good time for the night in Arizona, there's only one choice for you. It's Gila River Resorts and Casinos.
Oh,
there's so much to do at a Gila River Resort and Casino location. Their slogan, Kevin, of "You Do You" might be the best slogan, catchphrase, you name it, in all of marketing anywhere, really.
Certainly west of the Mississippi.
Yeah, as Kevin likes to say, west of the Mississippi, because we have to keep Missouri's a separate thing
for
Kevin.
Duh.
Things in Arizona and things that happen in Missouri it's as if you're in two different worlds.
Wait, we are west of the Mississippi, but continue.
Are you?
Continue. Yeah, I think we're on the left side of it. And continue, bro. Continue.
Yeah, you are. I guess you are, but you're on the Mississippi. You're on the Mississippi.
We are on the Mississippi.
But yeah, I think when you're talking about Gila River Resorts and Casinos, you get to do you. And when they say that, they mean it because it is really your oyster, Kevin. It's whether you want to go get yourself maybe some fine dining at the Shula Steakhouse. Maybe you just want something a little bit more fast food-esque. They have those options as well. They have live table games and slots that every casino has, but these guys, they just do it better. The colors, the way that they make it look so classic inside of Wild Horse Pass in particular. I just love it so much. They have the concert venue. They have the great pool area with all those cabanas. And of course, they have no resort fees for Arizona residents. Guys, Gila River Resorts and Casinos is the only option for a staycation. It's the only option if you want to get away from the kids for a little bit. And it's the only option if you want to get a little gambling done in this great state. Everybody head on over to your nearest Gila River Resort and Casino location, of which there are 4: Santan Mountain, Lone Butte, V Kiva, and of course my favorite of Wild Horse Pass, where we host all of our PHNX events that we do at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, including our Cardinals away watch parties. Every single away game, Johnny, Bo, Noah, and the guys are out there at Gila River, mucking it up, having a good time, conversing with the people. Guys, you're going to want to head out over there for one of those watch parties or just any of our events. Check out on our events tab, but just go to Gila River Resorts and Casinos because it's so much fun. Like I said, you do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details.
Make sure to check out our watch parties like Damon said. The boys are watching Cardinals football, and for that, you got to support them. Fact. Watching the Jonathan Gannon team, you got to show some love to the teams that cover it.
Ooh.
No?
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Yeah, I watch every Cardinals podcast these days. Like, usually I watch probably 3-4 times a week, try to catch live shows after our shows. But I've been watching every pod recently because if Johnny and Bo have to sit there and watch Jacoby Brissett ball, not like he's been bad this year, but you get my point with this. If you got to watch Brissett ball on the route to not making the playoffs, the least I could do is show up and leave a like in the stream, drop a chat. It's literally the least I could do. I'll even spread some Wildcats propaganda in the chat. Because that's just what I love to do.
Absolutely.
But Damon, you mentioned it. We do have some NAU preview to get into as the Arizona Wildcats take on the Northern Arizona Lumberjacks tomorrow night. We will be live with a post-game show tomorrow. No pregame, because to be quite honest with you, what are we doing? Talking 30 minutes about a team that we should destroy. Same thing with Utah Tech, but expect us to be live for pre and post games, for conference play, big games for Arizona basketball this year. The biggest games will also get watch-alongs, like UCLA this upcoming weekend. So make sure to tap in with all our Arizona Wildcats basketball coverage, as well as we round into Big 12 play coming up quicker than you know it. We're already halfway through November almost.
Yeah,
crazy.
Absolutely. It's crazy. It really is. Drop a like on this video if you guys are here in the chat. Kevin, we do have a date with our bitter in-state rival, the Northern Arizona Lumberjacks. And they're not really a bad basketball team. They are decent. They were in a game with Drake earlier this year, and I know Drake has taken a step back from what they've been in the last couple of years, but they only lost by 6 points to Drake.
They were leading.
And they were leading in that game. Actually, Kevin, I didn't even tell you this, but I actually live bet Drake.
Wow.
Because I was just looking at university names, and I was like, Drake? Drake? And I mean, Drake's been good. And I was like, that's a basketball school. The spread's only 10 points right now with NAU. Yeah. And I got in on it, and then the next thing I checked, NAU was leading the game. And I was like, well, maybe burn that bet slip on Bet365. But tell me a little bit about these Lumberjacks, Kevin. What's their calling card? What kind of style do they like to play? And what should Arizona fans expect?
Yeah, I mean, expect Arizona to dominate this matchup. Not simply because it's NAU, but because their best player is Zach Davidson, who's their center. He's only 6'9", right? I think where Arizona is going to dominate this matchup is the size battle. Brennan Peterson, got a Brennan on the other side. I don't know how that's going to play into things. If Arizona's going to be kind of psyched out, what do you mean I'm playing against Brett Brennan on Tuesday night? I don't know how to do that, but I kid. Brennan Peterson stands at 6 foot tall. That's their point guard, their shooting guard. Ryan Abelman can really shoot that thing. He stands at 6'4". Small forward, Arn Osojnik. I'm trying over here. He's 6'6". He can also shoot the three from the corner as well. Power forward, Travar Jackson stands at 6'7". You might recognize that name. He's played at a couple schools, Tarleton State, Grand Canyon, before transferring to NAU. But before he was at Tarleton and GCU, Damon, where was he? Pima Community College, where he was their first two-time NJCAA All-American and averaged 18.9 points, 7.6 rebounds, and 2.2 blocks across 2 seasons for Pima. So I'm sure he's going to have some family in attendance as well. But yeah, I think honestly, size, physicality, overall skill, Arizona should dominate this matchup. I think one thing that stood out to me against Drake when they played was that NAU, their offense was not fun to watch to start that game. You do a little bit of skip through. All of a sudden, they're up 11. They get up 11 on Drake, and I think it's a team that, pardon my unintentional, but I'm going to walk right into it, pun. They're just a team that keeps chopping wood. The Lumberjacks just keep chopping wood, damn it. It's just what they do. I think against Drake is a decent squad. They're not nearly the caliber of an Arizona. They don't have the skill of an Arizona. One thing that NAU did well in that game, at least in the parts that I was able to catch, were keeping Drake out of the deep paint, right? Drake would get 2 feet in the paint, but it would have to get kicked out. They really struggled at penetrating deep into the paint, and I expect that to continue against Arizona as well. But yeah, Damon, this should be demolition and domination. I think we thought that against Utah Tech, but Judkins, the GOAT for Utah Tech, he was able to kind of keep it close. I don't expect NAU to be able to do that. I was talking to you pre-show about this. Chat, put right now, while I give this point, how many points do you think Arizona is going to allow to NAU? Because I have a stat about when NAU scores less than 80 points in any game against any opponent, Damon. Would you believe they've lost 39 straight games?
That's pretty crazy, Kevin, especially in college basketball.
Just getting above the 80 mark heavily increases their chances of winning. I don't think they're going to get to 80 against Arizona. So that number hopefully should be turned into 40 straight L's when scoring less than 80 points. Overall, I think this is a game where Arizona's size, physicality, rim pressure will reign supreme. We talked about quick starts as well. But as Max says, he's going to block anyone that puts 6'7" as their answer to my question. But yeah, I think like if you can impose your will to start this game, I think it's going to be a lot easier to do that than it was against Utah Tech. I think Arizona's going to have that strong start that we've been waiting for so long.
Mm-hmm.
I think Arizona's going to come out, jump out to like 11-2 to start the game or something like that. And really, really make it ugly early. We should get to see the bench mob come in early in the second half, I feel like. In this one, I talked to our guy Saul Bookman. We did some research because, damn it, I didn't know the rules. I didn't know ball. Chad, I'm just going to be honest. I had football brain for the past couple months, and if you wanted to redshirt in football, you get 4 opportunities to decide that redshirt. In college basketball, and shout out to Norin Rudin in our comments who pointed this out to me as I jokingly said you should get Bryce James minutes last game. You know, not actually wanting you to burn his red shirt. If you play 1 second in an official game, Damon, red shirt burned. Burned for good. Yeah. Cannot red shirt that year. Yeah. So hopefully we don't see Bryce James. Hopefully he red shirts. But you get my point. I want to see the bench mob in there, and I want to see him in there pretty early into the second half. This one should be a demolition. I'm not saying NAU is...
We need Sven minutes.
Yes, get me some Jopmo in there. ASU has, Masamba Jop. We have Sven Jopmo. And I think that is what needs to be brought up in this conversation. But I'll wrap up my part of the NAU preview by saying this. This is a game where you're facing a talented squad in NAU, right? Zach Davidson's a good player, but not nearly the caliber of the Big 12, not nearly the caliber of Arizona. Davidson has posted a pair of 20-point scoring games to start his NAU career. He's a transfer in this past year. He leads the Big Sky and ranks 18th nationally with 25 points per game so far this year, shooting just under 65%. So they have some talented players on their team, just nowhere near the level at Arizona. This should be a blowout, and it should not be in question at any point.
Yeah, I'm with you there. What's funny about that stat that you gave us, Kevin, in terms of the amount of points per game that NAU needs to score in order for them to win, essentially, what was that, 8 breaking 80?
Yeah, breaking 80.
39 straight L's with under 80 points scored. They are the 230th tempo team in the entire country out of a total of 360. So, I know it's early. I know there's only been a couple game sample size of that pace, but for them to need to hit 80 points against Arizona and playing such a slow style pace, not that this is a hot take. Like, obviously Arizona's, going to get the job done versus NAU, but that's not a recipe for success. No. When you outlay it like that. I expect a big blowout W. I expect, I want to see Dwayne Aristode and Ivan Karchenkov kind of be handed the keys.
Yeah. This should be a Burries, Aristode, Karchenkov.
Oh, you want to drive? Here you go. Here's the keys to my Bentley, bro. That's what Tommy Lloyd's saying to Dwayne Aristode at the end of this game. Take over, right? Get some reps, with the ball in your hands, maybe trying to initiate some offense, trying to do some things off the dribble a little bit, right? If you're Karchenkov in particular, show us a little bit more of that, like Luka off the dribble three, right? Like, look, just take over against inferior competition. That's what I want to see. I also want to see Evan Nelson get in the game and hit a 3-pointer because it just warms my heart. It warms my heart, Kevin. But yeah, let's unload the benches. Let's get some of the guys on the fringe part of the rotation a lot of playing time, and let's get out of here with a big easy dub in preparation for a massive game against UCLA.
I expect like 55 plus paint points for Arizona in this one. Like I think the vast majority of their points in this one are going to be scored in the paint. They simply, NAU being they, simply do not have the size or the physicality to match up with Arizona's front court starters or backups, right? I think C.D. Gay is going to have some good moments in this game if he gets in there as well. But we're going to have some good moments today in overtime on the AZ Wildcats podcast. Thank you all for tapping in with us today. It's been a very good show thus far. We still have Big 12 football power rankings to cover, as well as wrapping up this NAU preview. And I will, I don't have too much more to say on this matchup outside of highlighting Zach Davidson, Travar Jackson, NAU's abhorrent record when scoring less than 80 points. And I think your topic about tempo, Damon, is a good point to bring up too. Because Arizona, despite their size, despite their physical identity, is still a team that loves to get up and get out in transition. Yeah. And not only do they love to do it, they're really proficient at it. They have smart, high IQ players that make the right passes. You talk about Ivan Karchenkov getting the keys. He can pass from full court. The man has that level of IQ, that level of accuracy. We saw the pass from, midcourt, the logo, to Dwayne Aristode in the last game.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely expect Arizona to run it up in this one in combination with their dominance in the paint. What else we got on NAU before we move on to our Big 12 football power rankings?
Arizona is 24th in pace, adjusted tempo to be exact. So
that's just crazy, no?
It's a big difference in terms of NAU versus Arizona.
And I'll say this: I'll wear egg on my own face, Damon. Who would have, if you had asked me, is Arizona going to be top 25 in tempo to start the year with Mo Krivas starting at center? I would have said absolutely not. They're going to try to run out. But how are you going to be up in tempo, losing Vesar, gaining Krivas? I feel like that. I'm not saying that he's not good in transition, but I'm saying that's not what his game is predicated on. It's not where he's most comfortable, right?
Here's how, Kevin. You lose Trey Townsend and you gain Koa Peat.
So true, man. And you gain Ivan Karchenkov. Yeah. You know what?
It's pretty simple. No more Trey Townsend, and instead our best player is playing in his position.
And I also think, Damon, like, ironically, I won't want to say losing Caleb Love, but I will say adding diversity and versatility from the guard position this year, I think also forces your offense to actually be an offense. As opposed to where last year, if Arizona's first action got denied, it felt like how quickly can we ISO Caleb Love? How quickly can he try to create a shot as our only real dedicated shot creator?
Yeah.
This year, it feels like you have multiple of those. It feels like you have multiple options out of the second and third actions that you can go to, whether it be posting up Koa Peat. If that gets denied, he might kick it out to Ivan Karchenkov, who might drive and get 2 feet in the paint, kick it out to Jaden Bradley, who then might run a pick and roll with Koa Peat, get it right back to Pete, and now he's slamming it. You've stopped the first two. Do you have a stop for the third? I think that's where Arizona is a lot different this year than last year. It felt like if you stopped their first and second action last year, it's over, right? I always think back to that K-State game. 2 for 22 from 3 is not a result of bad ability from 3. It's bad shots. It's just what it is. It's not good offense. So I think that's different.
They did have KJ Lewis shooting 11% from 3 last year.
No, I get you, but I think even in that same vein, like, he's a player that played through a wrist injury. So why are we shooting the ball so often?
Ask him that.
But that's my point. I think this year you have more diversity in your offense, and it doesn't force you to have a player with an injured wrist shooting the ball late in the shot clock from the free throw line. That's just where I'm at with it. Wesley says in the chat, this team is much more versatile, and I am with Wesley. Any last thoughts before we move on to Big 12 football power rankings?
No, not really. I do think that the pace with Mo Krivas, you're right. That is an interesting, little point to nugget there. That being said, it is early. I will like to check back on that as we start playing a little bit better competition and it gets a larger sample size on it as well. But
UCLA game will be a nice test for that as well.
Yeah, because they're a slow-paced team.
They're slow, physical.
Mick Cronin loves to slow it down as much as possible. So, yeah, that'll be an interesting one for sure. And last year felt like we kind of played UCLA's game, especially at the end of the game. It was we fell right into their trap of how they wanted to play basketball, and it worked to a T. Edgar Ortiz, I appreciate you being here, my guy. I appreciate you always being here in this chat and leaving great comments, but don't steal my takes before I even get them out here on the screen.
I know
when we preview Arizona versus UCLA, I'm going in on Donovan Dent versus Jaden Bradley. Do not worry about that one, guys, because I am sick of people telling me that the transfer from University of Alabama Birmingham is actually the second best player in college basketball. Really? He must have had an insane season last year for UAB. Did they make the tournament? No, they didn't make the tournament, but I promise you, Yaxel Lendenberg is the GOAT. Okay, we'll see with Donovan Dent what it's like when he matches up against a real opponent in Jaden Bradley, who I'm sure has been taking notes of every list that Donovan Dent, the New Mexico transfer, is on, while he gets kind of put in the back burner as an afterthought, considered to be like a jag, a regular player, right? I think Jaden Bradley has something for Donovan Dent in store on Friday, but we'll talk a lot more about that as we get closer to the game.
Real quick about this UCLA thing, just while we're on the topic, while you were talking, pulled up the final minute of the UCLA-Arizona game from last year. I know, just giving myself some pain visually. You know what's not happening this year? Koa Peat's not getting out-rebounded in the final minute of the game the same way Trey Townsend did.
Oh, man.
Absolutely not. Koa Peat is not dribbling the ball on the out-of-bounds line with, 30 seconds left 38.5 seconds left in this game. Trey Townsend tries to back up, number 55. I believe that's Sky Clark. Sends the double, I believe, with Tyler Bilodeau. Doesn't know what to do, so he dribbles himself into a coffin corner and just dribbles it out of bounds.
Mm-hmm.
You know who's not doing that? Koa Peat. You know who's not doing that? Ivan Karchenkov. I genuinely am interested to see how UCLA deals with a deeper, more talented Arizona team, because it felt like Arizona had their number last year, and they just did not play a full game and did not rebound the ball well at the end. I want to put belt to UCLA's ass real bad.
Yeah, we need that bad. We really, really do. Mick Cronin. No one needs belt to ass more than Mick Cronin, of all people.
Barry's Muse. This is the stats that people need to know. He says, I'm going to do a breakdown of Tommy Lloyd for his Mick Cronin height stats later this week.
You want to talk
Cronin
about
in
too
platforms,
small.
Mick Cronin in sandals. What's the height? What are we measuring from? But Damon, we did mention it. We've teased it all show. Your perfect power rankings, my imperfect power rankings. Why don't we go ahead and get into it?
Yeah, I mean, not to toot my own horn here, Kevin, but could your boy be more right all season long? Obviously, I fired up the masses when I put BYU behind Texas Tech a couple weeks ago. Right after Texas Tech lost to ASU with their backup quarterback in the game and still almost won on the road. And I didn't care because, Kevin, I was calling my shot then and there. Texas Tech was going to dog walk BYU this weekend, and they did absolutely that. Let's get into my power rankings. We don't need to spend too much time on them, Kevin. We'll just go 4x4 here, in our typical groupings. Everybody's the same at the bottom. West Virginia, you guys get the W over Colorado. You're better than Colorado. UCF, you guys play a great game against Houston for UCF standard. Almost got the win. Shout out Sam Alberts for tailing mine and Kevin's bet there on Houston. But
I should have parlayed it, man. I'm a fool.
Absolutely. I mean, I think UCF is they're fine. They're fine. They're not good. They're not awful. They did just get, kind of lit up by Baylor, but they gave Houston a good game this weekend, so we'll give them a little bit of credit there. And then the two worst teams in the conference are Colorado and Oklahoma State. Not sure there's an argument there.
Yeah, absolutely disgusting. We have the same bottom four. Oklahoma State, I literally forgot they were a program, coming in at number 16. Colorado coming in at number 15, same as last week. And then UCF, you're staying right there. That is, you own the number 14 spot in the Big 12 in my power rankings this year, UCF. West Virginia, Rich Rod, you're trying your hardest to get out of this first edition of the graphic, but it will not happen this week. Those are my bottom four.
Yeah, the only one that I considered moving out of this bottom four was West Virginia because they've started to seemingly find something. They outplayed TCU. They played a really good game versus Colorado, in which they got the handle of them. Next up, Rich Rod, do you have something for me?
Rich Rod's revenge!
Rich Rod's revenge. Rich Rod had a despicable record against ASU when he was at U of A, including a lot of losses in games that, you would go in being like, oh, we got a pretty good shot at this one. And then, Khalil Tate gets hurt on the Hail Mary attempt at halftime, and you get blown out in the second half. Rich Rod was not great against ASU. Time to flip that script right now, my guy, because we got a big one on the horizon. And guess what? They're talking bowl games in Morgantown right now. After the game, West Virginia's running back said that, or I think it was Rich Rod actually said, for the first time all season long, they are now being like, fellas, let's keep handling business one game at a time, because if we do, a bowl game could be in our future. That would be something. It starts with a win against ASU. Feed it to me, Kevin.
You know how bad I want at the end of the year to be able to say, remember when Rich Rod's West Virginia beat ASU and Jeff Sims, and then ASU and Jeff Sims lost to the Arizona Wildcats in the Territorial Cup to end the season? Man, that would feed families.
It's funny how much the confidence in Jeff Sims has just completely flipped the script, Kevin. Because when the news was dropped that Sam Leavitt was out for the season, everybody was like, cool, we're the worst. We might not win another game all year long. Jeff Sims puts up 24 points with 3 turnovers against Iowa State, who at that time had lost 4 in a row. And everybody now all of a sudden is like, Jeff Sims is the truth. ASU is on top. We're finishing 9-3. Jeff Sims could have a disaster game against West Virginia and lose that one.
No,
that
literally.
Wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world. Now, ASU is at home, which is very important here.
Indeed,
and I think probably precludes them from getting upset here by West Virginia. But I will be monitoring Jeff Sims and how he plays all the rest of the season long, because obviously Arizona plays against Jeff Sims, but like, is he going to continue to turn the ball over like this? Because I promise you, if he turns the ball over like he did against Iowa State, against Arizona, that will not go as well as it did.
1,000%.
Arizona is going to put up more points than 21 points if Jeff Sims hands Arizona the ball 3 times.
Yes.
I'm begging for it. Hopefully West Virginia can kind of rain on their parade a little bit this weekend.
Maybe Arizona can finally get a strip sack on a quarterback that doesn't go right to the quarterback's offensive lineman. How about that?
Houston was at home too. Sam Alberts. As much as I've been ribbing ASU fans and their home support that is supposedly the greatest in college football. That's a bit of a different situation. Houston has like 3 people that show up to the game and no fans whatsoever. And ASU, at least, they think they're really good. They've all convinced themselves that they're really good. So because of that, there will probably be close to a sellout, if not a sellout.
They convinced themselves that they were really good in the offseason, and now that they're trapped in this reality...
It doesn't matter what actually happens on the football field.
That's what I'm saying. Now that they're trapped in this reality where they're not really good, they're just good and competitive, and that's enough in the Big 12, right? I'm not dissing them, but I am kind of dissing their fans by, like, you have this preconceived notion, and they're just running with it, and they don't know how to let it go, and that is okay, because we're going to be in the world of reality while they're in the world of make-believe over on this podcast.
Well, right, and not to like just start going like inside baseball here, but I heard you and Eric Ruby having a conversation the other day, and Eric said something to the effect of, if Jordan Tyson plays versus you guys, we are winning that game. Okay. Yeah. I don't know that a wide receiver has that kind of impact on the game when Arizona's pass defense is its calling card. When Arizona's pass defense has shut down basically every passing offense it's played all season long. I am daring Jeff Sims to throw the football to Jordan Tyson in that game. Daring him. Stacking the box. Stopping him from running the ball. And going one-on-one with our safeties and our corners and saying, find the guy. Find him. Because I don't trust you to consistently throw the football without turning it over for an entire 60-minute football game. So that's my strategy. I'll be monitoring that game. Let's go West Virginia. Let's move into our next 4 here, Kevin. Here is where I saw the most movement on my list. I'm keeping Kansas at 12. I still think they're better than West Virginia. They lost barely at home, on the road, I should say, against Arizona. I think they're fine. They do continue to find ways to lose every single football game, though, Kevin, which is not good. Kansas State didn't play this week. They had a bye. They get moved down by nature of kind of, as much as I hate doing it, a little bit of transitive property math going on here. TCU beats Baylor. Baylor beats Kansas State. Both of those games could have gone either way, but those results are what they are. And I think that, like, you look at these 3 teams, Kansas State is playing better football than these other 2 teams right now, in my opinion, Kevin. But Baylor and TCU are the quintessential we could beat anybody and also lose to anybody team.
Yeah.
They can put up 1 million points on offense, and also their defense can give up 1 million points. Both of these teams are not very good. When Arizona plays Baylor at home, I think that needs to be a W.
Yeah, I mean, Baylor, they could beat Alabama tomorrow, and they could also lose to Bishop Gorman the next day. You know what I mean? So I'm with you on that, Damon. Our bottom, 8 or whatever, 9 through 12 here, they're identical, I believe. They might have not KU. They might have Kansas State and Baylor switch. But
yeah, you have Kansas State above Baylor, which I don't hate. I don't hate at all.
Yeah, TCU comes in at number 9. I'm just not sure what to think of TCU.
They're hard to gauge, man.
Very hard to gauge. Their highs have not been as high as some other teams' highs, but their lows have been just as low as some other teams' lows this year. They come in at number 9. They're moving down, and you'll see who they're moving down for here pretty soon. Bear down. K-State comes in at 10. 11 is the Baylor Bears, and 12 is the Kansas Jayhawks, who lose. And I feel pretty confident. There are a couple teams on my list, Damon, that I think that is just their spot for the rest of time. Right? Kansas, 12, UCF, 14, Colorado, 15, Oklahoma State, 16. Those teams, I'm confident in saying, will not move the remainder of the year on my power rankings, barring something dramatic. But that's my 9 through 12.
Yeah, that 9 through 12 ranks, the 8 through 12 ranks are really difficult for me. I find that portion of the Big 12 to be by far the most difficult portion of teams to kind of rank here, because we have, as we show my next 4 teams here, a team like Iowa State who has been reeling, and then they go and they beat TCU. So it's like, how do you rank Iowa State below TCU after they just beat them, despite Iowa State kind of playing like shit recently?
Yeah.
But also Iowa State beat the crap out of U of A. How do you do the math on that? I just think Arizona's playing better football right now than Iowa State. I think Arizona is, like you look at a whiteout game on the road. Iowa State was undefeated at the time. They were, they had huge expectations for the season. It's just a different team than the team that we're watching now out there on the field. Iowa State could be above Arizona on this list. I wouldn't be mad at you if you had them above Arizona on this list, but Arizona also has the better record overall versus Iowa State on the season. That's why I give Arizona the notch. I keep Arizona in the same spot that I had them last week. I keep Houston in the same spot that I had them last week after they barely beat UCF on the road here in the Space game, to be fair, which is a game that they've never lost before. Houston decided that we are the real Space U and beat UCF in that one. And then I got ASU at 5, who didn't play last week, but I think that they are still a very good football team. They have a great defense. They have really good skill players. But can their quarterback get the job done in these big moments? He did in his one start that he's had. Well, not one start that he's had. His one start that he's had since Sam Levitt has been ruled out for the season. He looked pretty good for his standard. Still pretty overrated overall if you ask them how good he played. I do think that, ASU is still a very good football team that needs to be taken seriously.
I agree with that, and that is why they stay at number 6 for me. Houston stays at number 5. Just honestly, I still for some reason believe in the Houston Cougars to be the team that they were quality-wise for most of this season. I don't know what the hell's gotten into them recently, but I still feel like they belong in that 5 to 6 to 7 range. I just have them at 5. They're staying put. ASU stays at 6. Too many injuries for them to move up or down after losing to the bye week. But Arizona, you are welcomed back into the top, half of this graphic here. 7 on my list. There are above Iowa State. As Damon laid out, I think Arizona is playing stronger football than Iowa State is right now. I think if they played it again, maybe like a neutral site, for example, not on a whiteout, I think Arizona can actually get that job done and get the victory. So those are my 8 through 5. Houston, Arizona State, Arizona, and then Iowa State at 8.
Love it, Kevin. We have very minimal differences on our here 2 power rankings. Let's round it out here with my top 4. Texas Tech, you stay number 1. Actually, everybody stays in the exact same spot. Texas Tech beats BYU. BYU, of course, beat Utah earlier this season. Cincinnati lost to Utah by 1,000,000 points a couple weeks ago. And now Arizona prepares to play Cincinnati, who Brent Brennan called today the best team that we have played all season long, the best quarterback that we have faced all season long.
Take that, BYU.
Definitely going to be a big test when it comes to Arizona and what they have to accomplish against Cincinnati to keep this thing rolling and maybe get a little bit of a win streak going, Kevin. Could be 3 wins in a row off the bounce if you are able to take down a Cincinnati team that is, a really good team and needs to be taken seriously. I hate the early kick. I think that bodes not well for
Road
Arizona.
Game, morning slate.
Yeah, we're looking at, I think, a point spread right now about 5.5 points is what it opened at. I don't know if it's moved in any direction, but Arizona has a shot. Arizona has a shot. These underdog point spreads haven't been super kind to us this year. Feels like, every time that we start convincing ourselves, like, ooh, Arizona, BYU, 3.5 points, Kevin. And you're like, you start feeling the magic a little bit. And then all of a sudden, BYU storms back to win. Iowa State was a similar spread as well and it ended up being a blowout. Like maybe that doesn't bode well, but I do think that they're trying to signify that this Arizona does have a shot in this game. Otherwise, it wouldn't be lower than a touchdown spread on the road.
I'm totally with you, Damon. And as we get into my top 4, it's the exact same as Damon's. Cincinnati, Utah, BYU at 2, Texas Tech at 1.
Well, it's not the exact same, Kevin, because, of course, you had BYU number 1.
Because I had it this way last week. Because we have the exact same this week, of course.
You're catering to the BYU fans, the crazy people that will flood your mentions and tell you that you actually don't know anything about sports if BYU's not number 1 on your list because we're undefeated. And context doesn't actually matter when watching football and creating power rankings. That's what these people want me to believe.
I can't be catering to BYU fans because half the BYU fan base thinks I'm the most obvious Utah fan ever. So I don't know how to please these people. But I will say, Damon,
they're unpleasable.
That Texas Tech retakes the number 1 spot on my list after defeating BYU this past weekend, even though St. John's was playing basketball at the time against Alabama. I was also kind of keeping track of what this game was going on. Thanks to our guy Damon, who walked into the office and saw me watching Rick Pitino versus Nate Oates and said, "What are you doing? Get Texas Tech BYU on a TV screen now."
You weren't even watching that game at that point. I believe that game was over. And you look over at me and a new college basketball game is playing. I think it was Duke
like Western Carolina. Yeah.
Kevin was watching. I walk into the office on Saturday. Texas Tech and BYU is mid-game. Kevin is watching Duke versus Western Carolina. He turns over to me and he goes, "Alabama is really good at basketball, Damon." And I said, "Kevin, what the hell are you talking about? We got the Big 12 Super Bowl on TV, and I'm right.
It was a blowout.
I need to watch myself be right for 60 minutes long in front of everybody, and I got to go back to the Locked On Big 12 tweet calling me out, sticking the dogs on me, and I got to say, what's good now, Drake Toll? Because guess what? I was damn right. Texas Tech is by far the best team in this conference. I'm not even sure it's close. I know ASU got the W against them. They did play a backup quarterback. I do think ASU healthy is probably the second best team in this conference, truly. And as much as it pains me to say, I do think that they're a really good football team. But Jeff Sims is their quarterback. So we'll move it right on down, despite them and their fan base thinking that, Jeff Sims is actually a Sunday guy. He's actually just as good as Sam Leavitt, who's a Heisman candidate and top 10 pick.
Jeff Sims only a Sunday guy on Sundays. Like we all are Sunday people on Sundays.
Absolutely.
That's the only time you can describe him as a Sunday guy. Hey, it's the guy that I'm seeing on a Sunday, Jeff Sims.
Max, I thought about it. I definitely think that here's the deal. I think obviously I have a team in between there. Arizona lost to Houston, and I know ASU lost to Houston as well, but whatever. I don't. Houston, they get docked for losing to a dog crap West Virginia team. I did want to put Arizona above ASU more than you have any idea. At the end of the year, my life's goal is to have Arizona above ASU on this graphic. That gets done obviously by Arizona beating ASU in the Territorial Cup. But here's the deal with in regards to my mentions and what's going on right now, Max. I just have to keep reminding these people that 6-3 is actually equal to 6-3. Spider-Man meme, we're both 6-3 right now, and no matter what you say, will not change that. Will not change that fact.
Not at all.
ASU fans, Kevin, think that they are playing a different sport than Arizona when it comes to football. I have people comparing Arizona football to ASU basketball in my mentions today of all days, when we have the exact same record as they do, bowl eligible with 3 weeks remaining to play, and a quarterback who just broke our all-time passing touchdowns record, who's the face of this program.
Yeah.
And these people want me to believe that we're the same as Bobby Hurley ball.
Not good.
Even in Brent Brennan's worst moments, he's better than Bobby Hurley right now. That's a fact.
1,000%.
Maybe not prime Bobby Hurley, but we're a long ways away from prime Bobby Hurley. Years, in fact. I need Arizona to be above ASU on one of these graphics. I need it to be the final version of these graphics. And I need to stick these people's faces in the mud and tell them, hey, all season long, you guys tried to be disrespectful, disingenuous, lie to us, tell us that things that were, assuredly, factually not the case were actually the truth. And I'm ready for that to blow up in everybody's face because Arizona and Arizona State are very, very comparable football teams. Very comparable.
Cook those frauds. Cook them. I love it, Damon. But those are our Big 12 football power rankings for Week 11 this time around. Damon, hopefully not going to ruffle too many feathers this time. Hopefully no death threats to Damon this time.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I kind of hope I wish for the death threats, honestly. It means the tweet popped off.
You need fake death threats, not the real ones.
Yeah, listen, I actually probably would have gotten some death threats when I had Houston 8th after they beat Arizona, if Houston had any fans. But thankfully they don't.
True.
Thankfully they don't.
Thankfully, Houston has 0 fans, Damon.
Except my guy, Parker Ainsworth.
Yeah, shout out to Parker Ainsworth. But this has been a very packed, very long. Thank you for tapping in with this episode of the AZ Wildcats podcast. Viewership has been great today. Please tune in again tomorrow for our post-game No show, 2 p.m. tomorrow, post-game show for Arizona versus NAU. Make sure to tap in with all our coverage of that as well. Check out our articles on the site. I'm putting up stuff all the time now. Recaps, prospect profiles. Check out GoPHNX.com for all your Wildcats written coverage
My
as
boy's
well.
a writer.
He's putting his fingers to work. The rust is getting dusted off. Pause. But I will say, Damon, make sure to check out all our coverage over there at GoPHNX.com. Carrie 501 in the chat is right. Post-game win, a victory post-game show tomorrow night. 10 Toes Down MMA. Where you been at? Where have you been at?
Drink.
Where have you been? That's my boy. That's still my boy. And if you know that reference, you really love the sport. But I will say, Damon, thank you to everybody in the chat for tuning in today. Please leave a like. It means the world to me and Damon. Helps us continue to do the great stuff we do over here at PHNX. And if you really want to show a little bit of extra love, join the Supporters Club. About $5 a month. That is it. I know the economy is a certain way right now, but it's less than a cup of coffee. And we're trying to give you content that makes it worth it. Our guy Steven is doing exclusive members-only videos. So if you want to get the latest and greatest with Jalen Green and their incredible studies that Ayrton and Steven are doing over there, please become a Supporters Club member. Damon and I are going to try to get our butts to work on some members-only videos for you guys here coming up in the not-too-distant future. So tap in with all that. Get access to all the exclusive emojis in the chat. Drop your DJ Tommies. I'm going to drop mine right now in the chat so that you know it's real. I put my money where my mouth is. Chat, I pay for the Supporters Club too. You see it in the chat. You see my DJ Tommies. So get like me. Put your money where your mouth is. Become a supporting club member. Help me, help Damon, help you. And that's my rant for today. Thank you all for tuning in. Much love. Let's get out of here, Damon, dog.
Love everybody for being in this chat. Like Kevin said, just having you guys here, showing support means the world to me and Kevin. And if you guys like this video and, rate and review on your podcasting platform, subscribe to the channel, it just helps us reach more and more audience members, helps make this show even more full, and really just helps this content, just really take off. Carrie 501 says that it sounds like it's PHNX OnlyFans. I don't know, man. You just have to get that subscription and find out.
They don't call Steven Cutie Legs for no reason.
No,
you know what I mean?
They do not. No, they do not. So yeah, you guys are just gonna have to maybe just find out what's going on the subscribers only side of things. But appreciate everybody for being here. Drop those Tommies in the chat,
yes,
like our guy Max is doing as we round this thing out. And appreciate everybody for being here on the AZ Wildcats pod on a Monday, a jam-packed Monday episode. Like Kevin said, we'll be back live for post-game NAU versus Arizona tomorrow, talking about an Arizona Wildcats W, hopefully talking about some really, really cool things in the process, maybe a little bit of extended run for some players on the end of the bench that we'll get to talk about at the end of that one. So appreciate everybody for being here. We'll catch you tomorrow after the game is over, about 10 to 15 after that whistle hits 0 or that buzzer goes off. But that is Kevo Posts. I am Damon Dog. We are PHNX_Wildcats on all socials except for TikTok. We're at AZ Wildcats Pod, and Kevin continues to do great work over on our TikTok channel, growing the game over there on TikTok. Appreciate everybody for being here, and we will catch you tomorrow on a post game. Until then, peace out, bear down.
And go Cats. Cameron Holmes, take me home.
We all silly like the mayor.